Home at Christmas by Jack Kerouac. Just a brief note, I read 2 Christmas stories from Jack Kerouac just recently. It was my last post, and unfortunately the excerpt that I read from on the Ginsberg site, whose name I forget, really severely edited Home at Christmas. And I thought that perhaps what I should do is make amends and read it as, presumably, written by Jack. So, here we go. Home at Christmas. It's a Sunday afternoon in New England, just 3 days before Christmas. Ma's making the roast in the kitchen range. Also, tapioca pudding. So when Sister Nin comes in from outdoors with the shovel she's been wielding in the blizzard, there are cold waves of snowy air mixing with the heat steams of tapioca over the stove. And in my mouth, I can taste whipped cream, cold from the icebox, on the hot pudding tonight. While Ma cooks, she also sits at the round table reading the Boston American. Pa's in the parlor playing the gospel singers of Sunday cigar smoke funnies time. I'm getting ready to take my big blizzard walk into the Massachusetts Shroud. Begins just down the end of Dirt Road Phoebe Avenue. I'm rummaging in the closet for my hockey stick, which will be my walking stick and feeling stick, to find where puddles and creeklets have disappeared under 2 feet of snow this day. Where you going? Take my walk. Be careful. Don't fall in the ice. You're going to your pine brook? Oh, you're crazy, you. Exasperation. I start down the porch steps, overshoes, wool cap, coat, corduroy pants, mittens. There are Christmas wreaths in all the windows of sweet Phoebe. No sign of GJ or Billy with the kids sliding on the park slope. No sign of them on their porch except GJ's sister in her coat, all wrapped, communing with the plicking fall of vast snows in a silence of her own, girl-like, watching it pile on the porch rail, the little rills, sadnesses, mysteries. She waves. I plod down off our cis-shoveled walk into Mrs. Quinn's unshoveled walk, where the going is deep, profound, happy. No shoveled walks all the way to Billy's, where big brother 6-foot Jack has worked in muffler with pink cheeks and white teeth, laughing. Black birds in the black cherry tree, and in the new snow breadcrumbs, bird tweak tracks. A little dot of kitty yellow, a star blob of plop snowball against old MacArthur's wreathy front door. Oh, the clean porches of New England in the holy dry snow that's drifting across new painted planks to pile in corners over rubber doormats, sleds, overshoes. The steam in the windows, the frost, the faces looking out. And over the sandbank, now and down on semi-snow-plowed Phoebe, comes the great whoosh of hard storm wind from the river cracking leafless shrubs in stick unison, throwing swirls of cold-sifted power, pure, the freezing freshness everywhere, the sand frozen solid underneath. Down at the end of Phoebe, I'm in the middle of the road, now preparing my big Arab strides for the real business of crossing miles of field and forest to my wanted brook, which in summer's rendezvous of swimmers crossing gold and green leaf day, bees of bugs, hay, haze, but now the gigantic Snow King has laid his drape upon the world, locked it in new silence. All you hear is the profound, higher-than-human ear screaming of snow radios bedazzling and electrifying the air like organs and spermatosas in a universe dance. They start black specks from heaven, swirl to avoid my gaze, fall white and ploppy on my nose. I turn my face up to the sweet, soft kiss of heaven. My feet are getting cold. I hurry on, always with a smile of my numb cheeks and pinked lips. I think, remembering movies, how really comfortable it would be to lie down and go to sleep in the soft, thick snow, head rested. I plod. The hockey stick trails after. I go through the sandbank draw and rise to survey the sandfield bordered on the other side by a cut of earth with saplings and boulders. I cluck up my horse and off we gallop. In a snow-bound westerner to the scene, deep. The sandfield is all milky, creamy waves of smooth, level snow. My blasphemous impertinence tracks make a sad plod in the smoothness. I jump up the cut, stand to survey further vast fields, stretching a mile to the wall of pines, the forest of Pine Brook in the unbelievable riot murk beyond, the momentous swing of other swirl storms. One last look at Phoebe, turning. I see the sweet rooftops of life, of man, of mother and father and children. My heart aches to go back home. I see the dear smoke whip of chimneys, the innocent fall of snow from roofs, the bedangled icicles, the little piteous fences outlined in all that numb, null white, the tracks of people, the gleeful steplets of humans twinkling and twittering across the snow, and already again, over the sandbank ridge, a great pole of wind and snow sweeping to fill holes with new soft outline. The mystery. Tears in my eyes from cold and wonder. I turn and strike across the plain. The grief of birch that's bent and wintering. The strange mist. Far off the white story frame house in the pinewood stands proud. Families are in there, furying, living. The left field of our baseball field is lost. Where the spring bubbles from short right, I can see just snow and just one hint of blackening snow, where waters below have formed a slush and darking ice. Behind me now, I can see my footsteps, in silence and sadness of white distance filling, forming, growing vaguer, returning to the macrocosmos of even snow, from the microcosmos of my striving. And far back of that and now by distance seeable, where before by nearness not, the vague, unbelievable, hardly discernible caped gray smoke stacks of the mills across the river, and the dim smoke urging to rise from their warm Dickensian interiors of grime, labor, personal involvements among dye-vats, to the universe of the blizzard oversweeping all. I reach the end of the plain, go up the wagon path, past the backstop home plate pines, the rocks, past the Greek farm on the left, now stilled from Cretan ripple olive peace of summers to frost squat winter. The top of the hill, the view of the woods, the descent into the woods, the pond at the bottom of the hill, the star beneath the ice in the bottom of the pond, the ice skaters thronging by, an old LaSalle with a mattress in the back clonking by and sloshing in the snowplow's flat. I circle the pond, the houses, the French-Canadian paysans are stomping their feet on still-screened porches, Christmas trees on their backs. Merry Christmas! Zings in the air. It darkens. Dusk's about to come. I've got to hurry. The first heartbreaking Christmas light comes on red and blue in a little farm window across the locked pond. My nose snuffles. My hands, the back of them, are like thronged red leather. off the road and into the country path, the fear of shrouded woods ahead. No more houses now, just bushes and pines and boulders and occasional clearings, occasional woodpiles beautifully wreathed with a snow crown, the jump over the little property wire fence, the old tree base where black rocks of Indian summer kid fires show stark dark through iced snowtops, remnant pieces of charred wood, the pine fronds gray as dead birds. Somewhere above, the coal-black crow is yawking. Crack! Crack! I see the flop of raven twit-limbs battering onward through tree-top twigs of aerial white to a hole in the heart of the forest, to the central pine and pain of my aching desire. The real Christmas is hiding somewhere from me. And it is holy, it is dark, it is insane. The crow broods there, some nativity darker than Christianity, with wise men from underground, Virgin Mary of the ice and snow, a Joseph of the trees, a Jesus like a star, a Bethlehem of pine cones, rocks, snakes, stone walls, eyes. But dark gray is the nightfall reality now. I plow my hockey stick in front of me. Sometimes it sinks 3 feet in culverts, holes. I jump and stagger and grind. Now a solid wall of pine is overhead. Through the dark, skinny limbs, I can see lowered, gloomy night is overshadowing the blizzard's white shadow. Darker, deeper, the forest densens like a room. Numb, buzzing silences ring my ears. I pause to listen. I hear stars. I hear one dog, one farmer door slam a mile away. I hear a hoot of sledders, a keen shrill of little girl. I hear the tick of snowflake on snow, on limb. Ice is forming on my eyebrows. I come haunting, emerging from the forest, go down the hill to the brook. The stone wall has crystal icing in the heavy winter dim, black, bleak lines in the sky. My mouth is awed open. Vapors puff out. It stops snowing, and I've begun to sense a blue scene in the new night. Soon, I see one star above. I reach the brook. It flows under jagged ice caps black as ink, gurgly, silver at the ice rim, cold steaming between blanket white banks to its destinations and rivers down. I follow in the gloom, our diving boards all white, alone, unsupple, stiff-wooded in wintertime. Our trapeze hangs looping, dull, ice-roped. Oh! I yell in the one-room world. My stick penetrates no bottom. I've found a trap hole. I walk around cautiously, follow the riverbank. Suddenly, there's an orange feeling in the air. The sun, somewhere, has pirouetted, protruding limbs into the mass of brass and iron blizzards, silvers being rouged by the blastworks of the real hidden tropic sky. An Arabian night's blue spreads blue icing in the west. The eve star sparks and shivers in the blanket. One lank icicle suddenly stabs from its center to the earth, dissolves. Cold. No more snowfalls. Now the faint howl winds of the New England bring Alaskan shivers from the other hill, down my collar. I leave the black brook, see the first and last touch of orange on the deep waters. I know it's beautiful now and everything is good. I hurry back to my city. The path follows the brook, turns off, entangled, tragic brushwood, goes deep across a cornfield. I hurry in a semicircling road back across my pond, jumping path to the top of Moody Street, where again the snowplow's work is piled in double rumps each side, my liberated feet moving in snowshoe-flopping, jingling gladness. There stands the white colonial house, on the iron lawn, the Christmas-glittering spruce, the noble snowy porch, fresh beginnings of a cocktail party inside. I've reached the top of the hill, overlooking old Lowell. And there she is, in the keen of blue winter night, bestarred above, the round, brown, sad face of the City Hall clock, in her granite tower, a mile and a half away, the speechless throat of throbbing red neons against distant red brick of bowling alleys, business squares, Chinese restaurants, the giant river scything white and black around, from wilderness of whore to wilderness of whore and sea. The thunder and rumble everywhere in the round and round horizon phantom night. The distant snake of 100-car freight, Boston and Maine. The clean snow smoke in the new snow plain. The red glow of the locomotive's boilers. The distant 2 long, 1 short, 1 long howl. At a country road crossing, the lone wee caboose. At the rear drawn to other worlds, to deeper night. The blue mill eternity windows, sighing froth of falls, reflections of the city actual sad in river's ice. And the one long thoroughfare, Moody Street, from my feet ribboning clear down Pawtucketville suburb, and over the river and down the Danes' fantastic, human little Canada, to the downtown thrill, clear, cold, immortal. I start home down the middle of the plowed street, joyous cries on all sides of sliding kids, the run, the thap of feet, the slap of the sled down, the crumpy ride of the runners over nostalgic snow rockscapes, sparks like stars. The scarved, bundled glee children of New England screeching. The black and white fantasy of their turmoil. Sister Marie is yelling irritably at her brother Ray, down the level ice wood of the tenement. Yes, I'm going, I told you 100 times. The wash hangs, stiff and frozen. Long underwear stands by itself, hanged. Brown porch lights are on, where the mother is packing the frozen wash in fragrant piles. Little tiny nameless infant, bundled to the ears, sits brooding in the snow, like Shakespeare's bird, the wreathed windows golden with Christmas behind him. He's looking and wondering, where was I born and what is my name? Roland Lambert? Roland Lambert? Who is that Roland Lambert? Who are you, Roland? Hello, mister that passes. I wave my hand. My footsteps squeak and squidge in the tight-packed snow. I come down deeper in the joy of people. Past Mr. Vernon, the white houses, the spruce, the lost parochial white yard of night, the concrete wall, the first grocery store, screams, snow-slashed traffic ahead of me. Oil stove heat rushes down dim hallways. Out the raw door. There's Al Roberts throwing a snowball at Joe Plouffe. Another one. Crazy crisscrossing snowballs. Hoots, whoopies. The boys are ducking into the brown-scarred door of the club for a brew. There's Jim with his Christmas tree. His rubbers are too low. The snow spills into his shoes against his silk socks. He yells, "Last damn time I'm gonna buy a Christmas tree." Mrs. T is yelling to Mrs. H across the wash rope of the court. "What time you going?" Doors slam, buses bawl by. Cars race motors and drifts, sending blue exhaust in the blue purity. Keen. That same star shudders, exploding on the roof of the church, where candles flicker. There go the old ladies of the parish to their evening vespers, bundled in black coats, white-faced, gray-brushed back hair, their poor little fragile hands hidden in muffs of indoor prayer. Golden light spills from Blazan's store onto the scuffled sidewalk where the gang stands wrangling. I go in to buy my old Nick and Clark's, browse at my usual comic books and pulp magazines. The wood stove is red hot in the back. There's the smell of heated overshoes, snow-wet floors, enfolded night, smoke. I hurry down Gershom, past the snowball fights, the yoo-hoos, the proud adults in big coats bundling off to social evenings, adjusting scarves, opening garage doors, guffawing. The rosy-faced girls are hurrying to the bus, the show, the dance. Sad is the long fence of the long yard and the great high, white, frozen tree where the sick boy lives. I see him in the window, watching. Little narrow Sarah Avenue hasn't got a window that's not red or green or blue, not one sidewalk unmusical with shovels. Wearily, I come to the corner, turn up Phoebe, my 3-mile circles complete. Come to my house on slow, wet, sodden feet. Glad. Everything is saved. There's heat and warm joy in my house. I linger at the window looking in. My heart breaks to see they're moving so slowly, with such dear innocence within. They don't realize time and death will catch them. Not now. Ma moves to lift the pot with such a bemused and serious, hardly knowing goodness and sadness. My father's huge, still presence, his thighs in the chair, the absent-minded, dark and thought face, so wordless, unexplainable, sad. My sister bending over her adolescent fingernails, so preoccupied, ravenously attentive in the dream. When I open the door, they look up blandly, with blue eyes. I stand facing them all, red-faced and frozen. Well, it's about time. You missed your supper. The roast is in the oven. It's not as hot anymore. Your mashed potatoes are almost cold. Sit down, crazy. I sit at the sparkling table in the bright, warm light, ready. She brings me a big helping, glass of milk, bread, butter, tapioca pudding with whipped cream. When you're finished eating, we're going to go get the Christmas tree and put it up, huh? Yes! Eat, honey. After your big walk, you must be hungry. That night in bed, I can still see this great bulging star, white as ice, beating in the dark field of heaven among the lesser glittering arrays. I can see its reflection in an icicle that depends from an eave above my window. I can hear my winter apple tree cracking black limbs in frost. See the Milky Way all far and cold and crag deep in time. I smell the soft cold heat of the surface in the cellar. Soon, dawn, the rosy spread over pure snowfields, the witless winter bird with his muffly feathers inward. My sleep is deep. In New England wintertime night.